please stand. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance as we did before. There's a flag now. I don't see it, but I got a flag. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Brady, Rose,
Here.
Gantz,
Here.
Elsky, here, Celebrity, Kubicki,
Here.
Yashki,
Here.
Rodriguez,
Here.
Day,
Here.
Berg,
Here.
Ron Frederick, Nudo,
Here.
Franco,
Here.
Boyd Frederick, Mauer, here, Gully,
Here.
Wambolt, Uhas, here, Beth, here, Palmaville, here, Lewis,
Here.
Supervisor Nordigan and Decker are excused. Now we'll have the recognition of the 2020 to 2021 Youth and Governance members.
Erica.
Useful. We've had an awesome, very full orientation session. We've all been here since 4:30, learning anything and everything we can about youth and governance and about the Kenosha County Board and all the amazing committees. So thank you again. Without further ado, you'll hear more from me later. But I will let my incredible colleague, Jen Reese, who has been managing the Youth and Governance program throughout this year, come in here to introduce the outgoing youth.
All right, well, good evening, everyone, members of the county board. Erica mentioned my name is Jen, and I've had truly the privilege and honor of working with our youth and governance members over the last year in my interim role with Extension Kenosha County. Sadly, that's wrapping up, but we have an amazing youth educator joining us, as you've just met, Erica, who will get to work with our next group of youth. And so, again, I've had the privilege of working with the 2020-2021 class of youth and governance representatives. I don't really need to remind anyone that this year was like no other, but I do want to say that the positivity and professionalism and the resilience that this group displayed as they navigated new situations and made the most of their experience was very inspiring and reassuring, as these are our future leaders, and how they handled this experience was, I think, just amazing to watch and be part of. And so on behalf of the Kenosha County Board of Supervisors and the UW Extension Office, we would like to recognize the following youth for their outstanding contributions to Kenosha County and the Youth and Governance Program over the last year. I also want to thank the parents and guardians of youth and governance members. The support that they have given the youth is invaluable. And also thank you to all of their mentors. The support and guidance that you have provided them is also invaluable. And I'll ask that each mentor rises, if able, when we call their name. We want to show you that recognition as well. So, my friends, when I call your name, please come forward to receive your certificates and pin. Is Supervisor Gashke available? Such an incredible supporter of the Youth and Governance Program and chair of the Planning and Development Committee. We want you to be part of this experience. And so, all right. So first off, we have Paul Capelli, a senior at Westosha Central, who served on the Public Works Committee with a supervisor and mentor, John Franco. And sometimes you think things are in alphabetical order, but not this evening, so bear with us. All right, congratulations, Paul. All right. And after you receive your certificate, we'll have you just stay in line here. We'll take a group picture once you're done. Next up, we have Armand Harris. Armand is a senior at Harborside Academy. He served on the Human Services Committee, and his mentor is Supervisor Andy Berg. Next up, we have Tristan Jans, who is a junior at Westosha Central, who served on the Joint Services Board, and her mentor was Chief of Staff Jenny Tunkeys. Next, we have Shelby Jans, who is a senior at Bradford, who served on the Legislative Committee, and her mentor is Supervisor Boyd Frederick. Next, we have Sahar Karini. She is a senior at Bradford. She served on the Finance and Administration Committee, and her mentor is Supervisor Monica Yuhas. Next, we have Calvin Kopp, who is a senior at Wilmot Union. He served on the Public Works Committee, and his mentor is Supervisor John Franco. Next, we have in her second year as a Youth and Governance representative, Melitza Marici, a senior at Tremper, who served on the Human Services Committee, and her mentor is Supervisor Andy Berg. All right, so next up, and not with us this evening, is Callahan Miles. Callahan is a junior at Catholic Central. He served on the Planning and Development Extension Education Committee, and his supervisor is Daniel Gashke. Next, we have Olivia Nahorniak, a senior at Westosha Central, who served on the Judiciary and Law Committee. Her mentor is Supervisor David Celebre. Next is Lauren Noble, a senior at Indian Trail, who served on the Planning and Development Extension Education Committee, and her mentor is Supervisor Daniel Gashke. Next is Caleb Stanford, a senior at Christian Life School, who served on the Finance and Administration Committee, and his mentor is Supervisor Monica Yuhas. Next is Sarah Tishkovska, a senior at Westosha Central, who served on the Joint Services Board, and her mentor is Chief of Staff Jenny Tunkeys. Next, completing her second year of Youth and Governance, Gabrielle Wellman, a senior at Tremper, who served on the Judiciary and Law Committee, and her mentor is Supervisor David Celebre. And next is Audrey Wilk, a senior at Lakeview Tech, who served on the Legislative Committee, and her mentor is Supervisor Boyd Frederick. All right, so an annual tradition with Youth and Governance is to ask two current members who have served to share brief remarks about their experience. So Youth and Governance members Malika Marici and Lauren Noble will now share their remarks.
Hello, my name is Millie Marisick. I'm currently a senior at Tremper High School and plan to study public and international affairs at Princeton University in the upcoming fall. I've served 2 terms on the Kenosha County Board for Youth and Governance, sitting as a member of the Judiciary and Law Committee, as well as the Human Services Committee. I would first like to sincerely thank the Kenosha County Board of Supervisors, my 2 mentors, Supervisor Rodriguez and Supervisor Berg, and the head coordinator of Youth and Governance, Jen Reese, for welcoming us with such warm arms and recognizing that each of us possesses a unique perspective on public policy. While us teenagers are to some extent hormone-driven monsters, we are nonetheless members of society and wish to engage in local politics to make a better life for everyone around us. I thank you all for providing us with this wonderful opportunity to express our beliefs. At 16 years old, I envisioned myself working a job that encompassed all the jobs characters in my favorite TV shows worked. I saw my office scattered with blueprints for my next engineering project, like Michael Scofield from Prison Break. At times, I imagined myself performing life-saving surgeries, like Meredith Grey from Grey's Anatomy. I even dreamt of knocking down doors and yelling FBI freeze, like Agent Prentice from Criminal Minds. I was determined to find a career path that suited the myriad of subjects that piqued my interest. It wasn't until my first Youth and Governance tour bus ride that I realized exactly how I could execute this plan. Our tour commenced by visiting the Public Works facility. We discovered that engineering was a critical component of local government, as supervisors need to have an understanding of the infrastructure of roads and buildings in order to properly allocate resources for constructing such public property. Next on our itinerary was a meeting with a few supervisors from the Human Services Committee, where we participated in discussions with Human Services chairmen and women on their process for determining courses of action for keeping our community healthy. Our last stop, the stop which perhaps had the greatest impact on me, was the Kenosha County Administration Building. The boardroom doors opened and we were greeted by a supervisor. Walking into the room, each of us was imagining as if we were walking into an actual meeting. Rather than presenting statistics and facts about a committee's work in local government, the supervisor sought to shift our perspective on county government. We are constantly consumed by national news and what decisions are made at the executive level, she stated. But as our county government that is repairing the potholes on the street that drive us nuts, help raising funding for our foster care system, and make each member of our town feel part of a community. Her speech fostered a greater appreciation within us all towards our county government and made us eager to begin serving the people of Kenosha County. Exploring various departments within the Kenosha County government made me realize that our local government encapsulates all fields of study in order to ensure that the needs of the Kenosha people are met in an efficient manner. After attending countless committee meetings and engaging in rewarding conversations, I am now confident that public policy is the career path I wish to explore. I know now that my future will look like the perfect blend of all the careers my favorite TV show characters had. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lauren Noble, and I'm a youth representative on the Planning and Development Committee. I plan on attending UW-Madison on a pre-law track in the fall. This opportunity has proved to be one of the most influential and significant experiences in my academic career. Looking back on where I started over a year ago, when my mom first convinced me to apply, I can see how much this program has impacted me. I was hesitant to apply at first after seeing how many kids are usually nominated from all over the county. I applied despite my doubts, and now here I am speaking in front of the county board reflecting on my experiences. I still remember interviewing for this position over Zoom and seeing the previous youth and governance members conduct the interview with such professionalism and maturity. I thought about how much older they seemed than me and wondered if I was in over my head. I then got the opportunity to be on the other side of the interview and talk to each of the applicants. Answering their questions about my time as a member made me realize all of that this program has to offer, even in a year where the full experience was not possible. Youth and governance has not only taught me more about local government, but also how to be confident when speaking to adults, to ask questions, and self-assurance that will help me in all my future academic and professional endeavors. But most importantly, youth and governance has given me a newfound interest in government and politics and an appreciation for civic involvement that I plan to take with me in my future career aspirations. I can say that this experience solidified my choice in pursuing political science in college, and I'm also grateful to the County Board and UW Extension for allowing youth to be active in their community and have a voice in important matters. And I'd just like to thank my mentor, Supervisor Gatchke, for being so welcoming and always making sure that the youth had a chance to speak. And thank you to Jen for being a great facilitator and making this program run so smoothly. Youth and Governance will miss you next year. Lastly, I'd like to say good luck to the next round of members. Based on your interviews, each of you is a really capable candidate that has a bright future ahead of them. You'll do great and get a lot out of this program. Thank you.
All right, and I'll just mention that we are all meeting for the first time tonight. So this group is just meeting for the first time, and tonight we got to hear them reflect on their experience this year, and what you just heard from our two representatives can be multiplied. That same impact and that same experience, that same power of this program was shared from all of them, and so I think that really is a deep heartfelt thank you and gratitude for your support and for providing this experience for all of the youth. And so before we wrap this up, just wanted to invite or see if there are any mentors or if Chairman O'Day had any other thoughts they wanted to share for the outgoing group of youth and governance representatives.
I'd just like to congratulate all the students that participated this year. It was a difficult year, and you came up to the expectations of everybody. You participated tremendously in all the committees. You asked a lot of questions, and you set the bar high for the next incoming groups that are going to follow you. And I hope you have a tremendous future ahead of you. And this was, I hope, a positive experience. Thank you again for your service. Any other supervisors want to comment? Hearing none.
Okay, so for our group up here, we just want to take our first group picture together. So if you all can smile behind your face coverings. All right, if everyone can please join me one more time in thanking and congratulating the 2020-2021 Kenosha County Youth and Governance members for their year of service.
Great. And then if you're welcome, outgoing youth and governance, to stay for the rest of the meeting. You're also welcome to go. If you left anything back here, please feel free to come around and grab it. All right. So now it's time to swear in the next group of youth that will be sitting with each of you on the county board committees. Again, let me give myself a little bit more of an introduction. My name is Erica Ness. I'm the new Positive Youth Development Educator with UW Extension under the PDAC committee. It's about my 6th week on the job here, so I'm so excited to get started with my first group of youth. It's evident that the Youth and Governance program is so impactful and so meaningful to not only every student who participates in it, but obviously to each of the committees that they sit on as well, to be able to get their perspective and work together and bring generations together to best serve our county. So again, I can't thank you all enough for your participation and support of the program, and I'm so excited to be able to be involved this year and going forward. So, as in the past years, there continues to be tremendous interest in the Kenosha County Youth and Governance Program. This year, we received 166 nominations, representing youth from 13 high schools throughout Kenosha County. From those nominations, 38 youth submitted applications. The Planning Development and Extension Education Committee interviewed 25 youth to recommend 16 names to Chairman O'Day, 14 who will sit on committees and 2 who will serve as alternates. And thank you so much to the members of the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee for your work. Chairperson Daniel Gashke, Vice Chair Amy Maurer, Supervisor Nudo, Supervisor Rodriguez, and Supervisor Beth, as well as this year's PDAC youth representatives, Lauren Noble and Callahan Miles. Thank you so much for your hard work in selecting the new youth and governance representatives. We know that it was an extensive process and an important process, so I can't thank you enough. So we will now be appointing the 2021-2022 youth and governance members to the county board committees. This evening, we will swear in the 15th group of students to participate in the Kenosha County Youth and Governance Program. Again, as I call the names of youth serving on each committee, I'm going to do it in order of committee this time. I'll ask each youth in governance mentor of that committee to please stand. And each youth will come up here and state their name, their high school, their grade, and the name of the county board supervisor who represents their district. So we'll have their mentor stand and they'll let you know in whose district they live in case you'd like to connect with them as well. So youth will receive an official Kenosha County pin, as did the outgoing youth, from Supervisor Daniel Gashke. So I'll invite you to join me up here one more time. I know you just sat down, so thank you. So please hold all of your applause until all of the youth are recognized. They're going to come in here, state their name, circle back down, and be seated, and then they will be sworn in officially. But please feel free to take photos, especially for family and friends in the audience. So I will start with the Finance and Administration Committee with Mentor Supervisor Juhas, if you'd please stand. Our first, he's ready to go. Okay. John Cargill is our first, John P. Cargill, actually. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is John Cargill. I'm a junior at Harborside Academy, and I live in Supervisor Jerry Goley's District 16.
We'll just clap for each of them. Why not? Let's make it a joyous occasion. All right. The next Youth and Governance on the Finance and Administration Committee is Carly Loyce.
Hi, my name is Carly Loyce. I'm a junior at Westosich Central High School. I live in Supervisor Decker's district, my apologies, in District 22.
Awesome. Thank you so much and welcome. All right, next I'll be moving to the Human Services Committee with the Mentor Supervisor Andy Berg. First, we have Arjun Kumar.
Hello, my name is Arjun Kumar. I'm a junior at the Prairie School, and I live in Supervisor Amy Maurer's district.
All right, next on the Human Services Committee, we have Kayla Mitchell.
Hello, I hope everybody's evening is going well. My name is Kayla Mitchell. I am a 10th grader at Harborside Academy, and I live in Supervisors Belsky's district.
Okay, next we will move to the Joint Services Committee with Mentor Jenny Tunkeys. Sorry, I sent you to the back over there. Didn't mean to, but thank you so much for being here, and thank you for being an incredible mentor. Thank you again to all the mentors. So our first Joint Services Board member is Sri Sabrisha Chandrakoda.
Hi, my name is Teresa Preacher Kandrakota. I'm a junior at Indian Trail High School and Academy, and I live in Supervisor Wambles district.
Next, we have Trinity Williams.
Hello all, my name is Trinity Williams. I'm a junior at Shoreland and I live in Supervisor Rodriguez's District 8.
Right, awesome. So next we are going to introduce the Judiciary and Law new youth committee members, and our mentor is David Celebrate. So first we have Samuel Arnold. Thanks all for making the long walk up here. Appreciate it.
Hello, my name is Sam Arnold. I am a junior at Bradford High School, and I live in Supervisor Amy Mowers, District 15.
Right, our next youth and governance representative is Rhea Babu, also on the Judiciary and Law Committee.
Hello, my name is Rhea Babu. I'm a junior at the Prairie School and I live in Supervisor Belsky's District 4.
Okay, next we're going to move to the Legislative Committee with mentor Boyd or Supervisor Boyd Frederick. Our first youth and governance on this committee is Joshua Chow.
Good evening, my name is Joshua Chow, and I'm a junior at Indian Trail High School, and I'm represented by Senator Wambold in the 17th District. So my apologies, Supervisor Wambold.
See, perhaps. Thank you. All right, next we have Benjamin Rodoff. Swan Legislative.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Rodoff. I am a sophomore at Tremper High School, and I live in District 16, which is represented by Supervisor Goley.
All right, next we are going to move to Planning Development and Extension Education Committee with our mentor and chairman, Daniel Gashke. The first YIG member that we will introduce is Mackenzie Bellatini.
Hello, my name is Mackenzie Bellatini. I'm a junior at Wilmot Union High School and I live in Supervisor Nordigan's District 21.
All right, next we have Brooke Smith, also on the PDAC committee.
Hello, my name is Brooke Smith. I'm a sophomore at Westosha Central High School, and I live in Supervisor Sandra Beth's district.
Great. Okay, next we're going to move to the Public Works and Facilities Committee with mentor John Franco. First, we are going to honor the new YIG member, Shulon Shout.
Hi, my name is Shulon Shout. I'm a junior at Lakeview Technology Academy, and I live in Supervisor Grady's District 1.
Great. Next, we will be introducing Andrew Setter on the Public Works and Facilities Committee.
Hello, my name is Andrew Setter, and I'm a junior at St. Joe's Catholic Academy. I live in Supervisor Celebrates District.
Okay, so this year, we're also going to be honoring and inducting our alternate members who will be participating in the program just like all our other members and kind of learning all about all our committees, and will also step into a role if unfortunately another member has to leave. And so we have a new mentor for our alternates, Supervisor Jerry Gully. And our first alternate member that we will introduce is Austin Dawson.
Hello, my name is Austin Dawson. I'm currently a sophomore at Westosha Central, and I live in Supervisor Sandra Beth's district.
Okay, and then last but certainly not least of our incredible new YIG representatives, we have Meredith Kaufman.
Hi, my name is Meredith Kaufman. I'm a junior at Indian Trail and I live in Supervisor Wambolt's district.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, and thank you for all the applause. I don't know if you can tell how big I'm smiling behind my mask, but I am very thrilled to be working with all these incredible youth and all of our incredible board members. We really look forward to the contributions of these youth. A reminder to all the new youth and governance students, what you get out of this experience, what you put in. And based on our amazing orientation we just had, it sounds like you're going to put in a lot. So awesome, awesome, awesome. Please just make it a great year. Let's just do one more round of applause for everyone. Please join me in congratulating. Great. And then, of course, I want to also give a round of applause for the county board. Thank you for all of your support and for our mentors, for especially to our mentors for all of the guidance that you have provided the youth in the last year and will provide to these youth. It means so much. It's been really incredible to hear about the aspirations that these youth have and how excited they are to learn about county government. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Now I'm going to pass it over to our county clerk. And we are going to have an appointment ceremony. So youth, if you will, please rise to be officially appointed to your committees. All right, thank you, County Clerk Reggie Bacochin. And now, again, we welcome all youth, both outgoing and incoming, to stay for the remainder of the meeting, recognizing you are all very busy students. You may leave now or at any point in the meeting when you need to. We'll open that passageway over there up for you again. But we definitely welcome you to stay. It should be a very exciting meeting ahead. So thank you again, everyone, for the time. And welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Erica. We're going to move on to citizens' comments. Are there any citizens' comments? Any citizens wishing to speak? State your name and address for the record, please. Hold on a second. Is the mic on? Hold on.
You. Hello, my name is Shelby Jantz. I live at 3513 14th Place. I'm a former Youth and Governance member. I'm here to talk about the Racial Equity Commission. I worked on this commission in the work group for several weeks with several other adults, and I want to say that I think that this commission should be approved. I think this resolution is important. I think it is important to our constituents. I think everyone in Kenosha is ready to heal, and I think that this resolution has certain things in it that will allow that healing to take place. I think it represents young people, it represents our diverse population in Kenosha, and it sends a message that everyone in Kenosha matters, our voices matter, and our experiences matter, and that those experiences are being taken into account by our leaders that we elect during every election cycle. So I urge you to please vote this resolution to become a commission. It's important. And I think that you will send a message to all your constituents that you represent, that their voices matter, you hear them, you hear what they want, and that it's important. Kenosha has gone through so much in the last couple of months, and I've seen it firsthand. The leaders in our community have come together to try to make a better, stronger Kenosha County. That's exactly what this resolution does. It includes everyone. It's an inclusive piece of legislation. And I think that's what every elected official should strive for, is to include everyone that goes to the ballot box every single election cycle and votes them to be their representatives. So again, I urge you to vote this resolution to become a commission, and I thank you so much for all that you do.
Thank you. Any other citizens' comments? Seeing none, we'll close citizens' comments. I have a couple of announcements. This is Boyd Frederick's turn for my donation of $200 to a charity. He has chosen the Demole Masonic Youth Group, so the $200 will be sent to them in the next week or so. Thank you. The other thing is, we will probably be going back to the county board chambers in the month of June. For those of you who are not aware of that, I just want to let you know that that's probably going to happen. Are there any supervisor chairman reports?
Mr.
Committee
Chairman.
chairs?
Chairman.
Bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm here to report on the monthly meeting of the Human Services, or excuse me, Highways, Parks, Public Works. And I can start off by saying that we had pretty good weather in April to be able to get back to the summer schedule. The plows are off the trucks, been doing repairs, shouldering, pothole, crack sealing, that type of thing, and it's been productive to this point. Some of the larger projects we're looking at, County Highway S, Washington Road, that is ongoing. It's got a couple phases that you're probably well aware of. You can see that the traffic pattern has been adjusted from the winter pattern now over to the spring and summer construction season. That entire project is on schedule, it's on budget, and it's supposed to wrap up the fall of 2021. taking a look still on highways. County F out there by the western edge of the county is currently closed from County O to County Highway EM, doing some construction work. There's grading work on Caro Road and Pond Road. Got some Wisconsin Department of Natural Resource permits and reviews to be done, but that is on schedule and should be completed by the end of July. We've got some crossing projects with railroads. We've got some other things on tap which are not going to occur this construction season, but will happen next construction season, which is County-wide 22nd Avenue and County A. That'll be next construction season. Out by U line, we have County Highway U and Q, County Highway U and C. Those are all in the design process. We think that they can be constructed this construction season yet, and will be done by this fall of 2021. A couple other items to finish up on the public works side of it, and that is we're still working on County KR, and that's from County H to State Highway 31. That is going along pretty well, but we have a larger project there, and it's not going to be done until the fall of 2022. A big one you're probably all aware of, State Highway 50 reconstruction from 118th Avenue to 43rd Avenue. That eventually, when it gets finished up, will have 3 lanes of traffic on each side for a total of 6. Quite a big project in the sense that you have to build areas over the railroads, elevated crossings, and that is on schedule for the fall of 22 to be completed. The other thing that happened earlier this year in terms of this building we are in now is the consideration to potentially relocate the services from this building was discussed several times earlier, to a downtown campus. Now, there'd been some public input, there'd been some community concerns about that, and there was a meeting earlier this year which was hosted by CABA, and the climate at that particular meeting was such that it was not advisable, it was not something that the community was embracing in terms of having this center's functions moved to a downtown location. So for the present time, that's been shelved. It may come back again. There's always that possibility. But we will still have to consider this physical footprint. What we're going to do with this building, it will require maintenance. It's not immediate, but that will be coming back in future meetings. So just to apprise you of that. Shifting our gears now to looking at downtown, we're looking at the administration building. That's the building that we meet in. Has a couple, 3 projects going on. The biggest is the heat pump replacement. It's phase 3 of 4. We've dwelt upon this before, but it's just to bring you up to date. Corrections, KCDC has a sealant project replacement that's going on. It's a $200,000 project, and the project began on April 19th and should finish up July 30th. Also at KCDC, there's some piping and coupling that's being done. Project began 4/13, will finish up on June 11th. Staying in tune with the downtown scenario, we have work that's being done, windows and doors on K-Cab and Molinaro. We're talking about some enhanced security transaction windows and door specifications which are in development. Bids will go out in August for potential construction start in September. Again, still downtown, the Civic Center campus demolition project. I think we're all aware that the buildings that are immediately west of the building that we meet in for the administration building, those have been purchased by the county and they're slated for demolition. That'll eventually be some variety of parking area to make the congestion down there, street parking, more of a manageable entity. And the design and construction of that are still in the formative process. We've got some HVAC replacements for KCDC. Kemper had a bit of water problems, especially on the east side of the building, just kind of spot areas which are going to be addressed and taken up this fall, or excuse me, this construction season done by the fall. We're moving on now to parks. Kind of a pleasant thing to report as far as the Kenosha County Veterans Memorial Park goes. That is really going along well. We're expected some construction begin in May and go through September of this year. Paul Schwartz Nursery has transplanted approximately 100 oak trees and dispersed them around the county Veterans Memorial Park Lake. And this is in a restoration of a 43-acre oak savanna restoration. It's my understanding that originally that area had an oak savanna component to it. They're trying to return it to its more kind of natural appearance and feel out there. Petrifying Springs Beer Garden officially opened on the 17th of April. It is only open on weekends at this point, but starting later this month, Memorial Day, it will open on its regular schedule. We have some Pike River restoration and pedestrian bridge replacement that's going on and has been awarded. South Bike Trail, that is the area down in Pleasant Prairie where there's been some areas of high and low spots, some water problems. That has been concluded just due to the fact that it becomes very seasonally popular this time of year, and we'll follow up in the fall on that and do some more upgrades to it. To close out the parks, there's been quite a compendium of meetings and talks about how to properly and best administer the parkside areas adjacent to Petrifying Springs that we now have stewardship over. So I don't know if you're aware of it. Some of the trails were impromptu. Some of them had just been formed over the years by users and not really much of a plan. But the plan going forward had incorporated the various user groups, such as the runners, the joggers, the mountain bikers. All these disparate groups were brought together under the guidance and leadership of Matt Collins. And there has been a compendium of better planning, better administration, and I think better use for the public that's come forward out of this. So that has been a long time in the works, and it's going to be implemented at least in part this season. So you can stay tuned for posts on that. The last thing I'll get to, and I'll try not to try your patience with being long-winded here, is golf. Golf is doing absolutely wonderful this season. There's a lot of pent-up demand for people to get out there and play the game and enjoy the sport. The leagues at Petrifying Springs are completely booked. There are no openings out there, and there may be a few openings at Brightondale as we speak. Some of the spring events have had 100% participation in terms of sellout. They call it the Spring Scramble. It's been very, very well attended. I think I reported this last time, but I'll say it again. Petrifying Springs, on the golf course portion of it, where there are the cart paths, have had reseedings due to the cart paths improvements. So we just ask that the golfers have their patience with the carts on the path only, so that these newly restored areas can take seed and they can be able to prosper as the season goes on. Thank you very much. That's my report.
Thank you. Any other reports?
Chairman
Boyd?
Yes, thank you. This weekend, I noticed that my secretary did not add in the body cam policies as she was supposed to. So you will be getting the body cam policies early to look at, and they will be brought for discussion at the June 1st meeting. It's my apologies. I didn't notice it till over the weekend, and instead of getting them to you late and then rushing through them, I'd rather we get them to you early and have a full discussion on the 1st. So thank you.
Who else had their hand up? Or
Chairman.
Terry, I just can't see you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to announce first that the Finance and Administration Committee will meet June 2nd, 3rd, and 8th at 6:30 to consider the disciplinary appeal by Sergeant Bill Beth. This meeting is a closed meeting. However, if county board supervisors may attend,
and but it is closed to the general public. The second thing I would like to bring up is that I would like to ask the Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee to consider the issue of the use of what has been called as the restraint chair at the Kenosha County Jail. I think that its current use is really inconsistent with traditional American values. It was the subject of a lawsuit settlement as part of a fact situation which involved its use. The county paid out at the time $750,000 in the settlement. I think that there was an article recently that you may have read about in the Kenosha News, questionable use, at least in my opinion, that I would call upon the Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee to review the use of that restraint chair. Should it be used at all, and under what circumstances? It's probably something we should have taken a look at in 2015 when $750,000 was paid by Kenosha County. So I would ask, Mr. Chairman, that you assign that issue to the Judiciary and Law Committee and report back.
Thank you. What, Charlie? You hear that? You're assigned. Okay. Thank you. Seeing no other reports from the supervisors. Oh, Jeff Gens.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a couple of questions regarding Supervisor Grady's report. On that land, do we own that land or are we just stewards of that land?
Which one are you
Next
speaking
to
of,
Pets
Supervisor
with the-
Gens?
Next to Pets with the trails.
No, we have, I believe it is a contract with the state of Wisconsin, AKA Parkside, for a certain term. And if my memory serves me correctly, it's a long-term one. It's in the 40 or 50 year stewardship lease type arrangement.
Okay, my next question is, do we have any liability regarding that if there's any accidents or anything happens on
I
those trails?
think, if I recall, and again, I don't have a document in front of me, that there was some type of, maybe Corporation Counsel can help on this, might have been involved with it, some type of documentation so that if there were mishap, injury, some type of inappropriate behavior, that the county would not be held to a liability standard, but Corporation Counsel may want to weigh in on that.
I can't speak off the top of my head. I'd have to look back at the agreement. I can certainly assure you that I can't imagine that the issue of liability wouldn't have been addressed in there in terms of what would be our responsibility and what would not. But again, I don't want to speak off the top of my head without reviewing. If you'd like, I can certainly get back to you on that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. See no other reports. Supervisor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to make a motion to take up agenda item, it's resolution 7 from the Human Services Committee, a resolution recognizing LGBTQA+ Pride Month.
Second.
I'd make that motion because we have representatives from Kenosha Pride as well as community members here that are interested in this resolution, just so they don't have to wait towards the end of the night. Thank you.
Do not have two that you were going to talk about?
Well, you want me to do both of them at the same time?
Yeah,
I
do
can.
both together.
I'd request that we do number 7 first, and then after number 7, that the county board take up resolution 1 from the executive committee, a resolution creating the Racial Equity Commission that was amended by the executive committee.
Did you get a second on that?
I seconded, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Any discussion? We'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carried.
County executive appointments, 10. Oh, we're going right to that. Oh, sorry. I have it, just a minute. We're doing number 7 first and then number 1. From the Human Services Committee, a resolution recognizing LGBTQA plus Pride Month. From Human Services Committee, Belsky, I, Berg, I, Beth, I, Celebrate, I, Gully, I, Lewis, I, Decker excused.
Supervisor Rodriguez,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me start off by
move the resolution.
move Resolution 7.
It's been moved by Supervisor Rodriguez, second by Supervisor Belsky. Supervisor Rodriguez on the motion, resolution. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to start off by saying that this year I was reached out to by a constituent as well as a close friend of mine that I graduated high school with to recognize Pride Month this year in Kenosha County. It was something that through my research, Kenosha County has never formally recognized. And so I was happy to sponsor this resolution. And I want to thank the Human Services Committee for passing this unanimously. This June marks the 52nd anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising in New York City, which has universally been accepted as kind of the spark that lit the fire of the LGBTQ movement and recognition. And so this is something that's important to me because it's important to my friends, it's important to my family, it's important to my neighbors and my constituents. So I would ask that this get your support here tonight, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. And then further, I want to correct or note something. The co-sponsors on this are Supervisor Berg, Supervisor Gawley, and then not in our paperwork in our packet tonight listed are Supervisors Belsky and Supervisor Lewis as well. So I want to thank them for their willingness to co-sponsor this. Thank you.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carried. Thank you.
And then, Mr. Chairman, as discussed, I'd like to request a recess so that our county social media team, as well as the sponsors and co-sponsors of this resolution, can get a picture with Kenosha Pride, who is here tonight.
That's fine.
Do I need a second, or are we okay to do that? Okay. And that would just be a 5-minute recess.
It's okay. Anybody have a problem with that? Take 2 minutes or whatever it takes.
Thank you.
Supervisors, take your seats, please. Jerry Gully, come on back. Hurry up. You're on next. What? You're on next.
Yep.
Okay. I can't hear you. Supervisors, take your seats, please. We're going to move on to the next resolution.
Resolution 1 from the Executive Committee, a resolution creating Racial Equity Commission amended from the Executive Committee. O'Day, I, Uhas, I, Belsky, I, Berg, I, Boyd Frederick, I, Gashke, I, Rose, I, Grady excused.
Supervisor Gully.
Move the resolution.
It's been moved by Supervisor Gully, seconded by Supervisor Uhas. Supervisor Gully.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What we have tonight is the culmination of hours and hours of work by county staff, by Supervisor Pomaville, Supervisor Rodriguez, countless volunteers in the community, and I'm not sure that I could say more than Ms. Jantz shared, who I greatly appreciate her time and her energy on the work group. I do think I'd be remiss if I did not point out the fact that I do regret that Supervisor Winkie is not with us tonight, because I have to share that during as the work group progressed, he had reached out to me on a number of occasions. We had really great conversations, and his input is actually in this resolution. And so I'm sorry he's not here tonight to see this move forward. It did move through Executive Committee unanimously, and I bring it to the full board tonight on behalf of the work group.
Any discussion? Supervisor Rose.
Yes, if you take a look at paragraph 6 at page 2 of the resolution, this was the addition that the committee made. If you sentence starts out, the makeup of the commission should at a minimum reflect the diverse racial and ethnic makeup of Kenosha County, and then it repeats that same language in the third and fourth sentence. I would like to suggest and move that we, throughout the resolution, use the term racial and ethnic equity commission, and the various paragraphs include such as the racial equity commission is to realize greater racial and ethnic equity. I think that was probably an oversight in the committee that we didn't add it. We added it in the paragraph number 6 at page 2. I think it takes into account and directs our attention to such issues in this country as the violence against Asians, the lack of Asians, for example, in county government, and directs the committee to look at a little more broad issue. So I'm removing this body this evening to at each paragraph where we say racial, we put racial and ethnic as the direction of the committee that is to be formed, racial and ethnic equity commission. I believe that was the intent as I read it in the committee. It was, I believe, an oversight that we did not follow through on each one of the paragraphs and in the title of the commission to include that language, and I was so moved this evening.
There's a second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing Supervisor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As a member of the work group, I think the motion by Supervisor Rose doesn't, I'm confident it doesn't alter what we're tasking this commission with in any major way. And so I would urge my colleagues to support it.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman. Point of information to Supervisor Rose. So you would want the title to be Racial and Ethnic Equity Commission, just so I'm clear?
Yes.
I have no issue with that.
Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing Supervisor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is not on the amendment. This is on the resolution as a whole. And I don't want to reiterate too much what Supervisor Gawley said or what Ms. Jantz said, but I do want to shout out once more the members of the public, including Ms. Jantz, who donated so much of their time. We met every week for several weeks working on this. And it felt almost as if at times when we got the ball rolling that we had to put the brakes on because we were out of time. So again, thank you to those who were part of the work group. And I look forward to seeing additional names as members of the community come forward, nominate themselves, as my colleagues nominate people, yourself, Mr. Chairman, and the county executive. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? If not, we'll take a vote. Supervisor Noodle?
If I want to make another amendment, should I wait? Should we vote on this year first and then make another amendment, or do it now? We're just voting.
We're voting on an amendment.
I'm sorry?
We're voting on the amendment.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Any discussion on the amended resolution? If not, we'll take a vote. All those in favor? Noodle, you want to talk about it now?
Yeah. I don't know if it's legal to do, but if there is, I would like to amend it.
You want to put your mic down so I can hear it?
Thank you. Also, it's on page 2 where he says that it's 9 commissioners, 2 from the county board, and 7 will be appointed by the county executive. I would like to have that all 9 members to be appointed by the county board chairman.
Is there a second? Joe, guys, for a second. We're moving on. Any other discussion? Going to vote as amended.
Roll call requested.
Grady, Rose,
Aye.
Gantz, Belsky,
Aye.
Celebrity, Kubicki,
Aye.
Yashki,
Aye.
Rodriguez,
Aye.
O'Day, Berg,
Aye.
Ron Frederick, Nudo,
Aye.
Franco,
Aye.
Boyd Frederick, Mauer,
Aye.
Gully,
Aye.
Wamble, Uhas,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Palmaville,
Aye.
Lewis.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you for all the hard work, the committee.
Am I to the county executive appointments now?
Yes.
County executive appointments, number 10, Dr. Thomas Radmer to serve on the Kenosha County Civil Service Commission.
Refer to Judiciary and Law Committee.
11,
Finance and Administration.
11, Jeffrey Marks to serve on the Kenosha County Traffic Safety Commission.
Refer to Public Works Committee.
12, Supervisor Andy Berg to serve on the Kenosha County Human Services Board.
Refer to Human Services Committee.
13, Julie Freese to serve on the Kenosha County Commission of Aging and Disability Services.
Refer to Human Services Committee.
14, Chairman John O'Day to serve on the Kenosha County Land Information Council.
Refer to Planning and Development and Education Extension Committee.
15, Barbara Ford to serve on the Kenosha County Zoning Board of Adjustments.
Refer to Planning, Development and Education Extension Committee.
16, Patrice Hall to serve on the Kenosha County Traffic Safety Commission.
Refer to Public Works Committee.
17, Pauline Lorenz to serve on the Kenosha County Commission on Aging and Disability Services.
Refer to Human Services Committee.
18, Leah Blau to serve on the Kenosha County Board of Administrative Appeals.
Refer to Human Services Committee.
New business ordinance 1 reading. From the Planning, Development and Extension Education Committee, an ordinance regarding Daniel J. and Karen U. Hebling requests an amendment to the adopted land use plan map for Kenosha County 2035, map 54 of the comprehensive plan, from industrial to industrial and commercial from the town of Paris. From the Planning, Development and Extension Education Committee, Gashki I, Mauer I, Beth I, Nudo I, Rodriguez I.
Supervisor Gaske.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move ordinance 1.
Been moved by Supervisor Gaske, second by Supervisor Mauer. Supervisor Gaske.
Thank you. This property has been in the works for well over a year with both the local municipality and the county planning department. It has been fully supported by the local municipality as well as the county, as well as our committee. This would be adding the commercial aspect to allow a proposed event center in addition to some other existing businesses that are there. We ask for your support tonight.
Any discussion? If not, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, aye.
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 Was one nay? Was there any nays? Motion carried. Thank you.
Ordinance 2 from the Planning, Development and Extension Education Committee, an ordinance regarding Daniel J. and Karen U. Hebling requests a rezoning from M2 Heavy Manufacturing District and B5 Wholesale Trade and Warehousing District to B5 Wholesale Trade and Warehousing District and B3 Highway Business District, Town of Paris. From Planning, Development and Extension Education Committee, Gashki I, Mauer I, Beth I, Nudo I, Rodriguez I.
Supervisor Gaske.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move ordinance number 2.
Motion by Supervisor Gaske, second by Supervisor Beth. Supervisor Gaske.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, same property. This would be adding the business district aspect to it, again, to accommodate the event center. The town of Paris recommends their approval as well as our committee. We ask for your support tonight.
Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carried. Thank you.
Resolution number 2, 1 reading from Supervisor Belsky and the Finance Committee and co-sponsors Supervisor William Grady, Supervisor Monica Uhas, Supervisor Zach Rodriguez, Supervisor Andy Berg, a resolution for County Board oversight and approval of revenues and expenditures not anticipated in the budget year. From Finance and Administration Committee, Rose I, Gantz I, Ron Frederick I, Kubicki I, Wambold I, Uhas I, Franco I.
Supervisor Belsky.
I move Resolution 2.
Been moved by Supervisor Belsky, second by Supervisor Rose. Supervisor Belsky.
Thank you. I'd like to go on record as saying there was some additional co-sponsors. We have Monica Uhas, Supervisor Uhas, Supervisor Gashke, Chairman O'Day, Supervisor Celebre, Supervisor Grady, and Supervisor Rodriguez. The budget process is one of the most important and complex exercises that we're responsible for as Kenosha County Board Supervisors. I'm asking for your affirmative vote of the resolution before you. This resolution will ensure transparency, oversight, and approval for federal, state revenues related to new COVID-19 pandemic or other unforeseen emergency-related programs and projects. This would also include oversight and approval of any expenditure or revenue received from sources not anticipated in the budget year. Thank you.
Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carried. Thank you.
Resolution 3 from the Finance Administration Committee, a resolution request to approve the reappointment of Kimberly Brunig to the Kenosha County Housing Authority. From Finance and Administration, Rose I, Gantz I, Ron Frederick I, Kubicki I, Wambold I, Uhas I, Franco I.
Supervisor Rose.
I would move the resolution.
Moved by Supervisor Rose, second by Supervisor Gantz. Supervisor Rose.
The committee reviewed Kimberly Brunig's appointment and approved it. She was a member of the Kenosha County Board of Supervisors from 2006 to 2018. In her final term, she served as chair of this board, and we ask for your endorsement this evening.
Any discussion? Supervisor Nudo.
I'm going to be voting against this appointment. Also, I intend to vote no for all the appointments from the county executive. And in order to save time, if the record can reflect that, so we don't have to have a roll call every time.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Now we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Carried. Thank you.
Resolution 4 from the Judiciary and Law Enforcement and Finance and Administration Committees, a resolution regarding 2020 grant award, Homeland Security, Wisconsin Emergency Management, HS Alert Bomb Explosive Breaching Training. From Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee, Boyd Frederick I, Celebre I, Wambold I, Belsky I, Nordigan I, Palmaville I, Gully I. From Finance and Administration Committee, Rose I, Gantz I, Ron Frederick I, Kubicki I, Wambold I, Uhas I, Franco I.
Supervisor Frederick.
Move resolution 4.
Been moved by Supervisor Frederick, second by Supervisor Rhodes. Supervisor Frederick on the resolution.
The County Sheriff's Department was awarded $4,600 from the state of Wisconsin Emergency Management through Homeland for bomb security breaching training to cover registration and travel costs. Increased revenues by $4,600, and there's no cost to the county.
Any discussion? Seeing none? All those in favor? Aye. Any nays? Carried. Thank you.
5 from the Finance and Administration Committee, a resolution regarding the acceptance of American Rescue Act of 2021 funding. From Finance and Administration Committee, Rose I, Gantz I, Ron Frederick I, Kubicki I, Wambold I, Uhas I, Franco I.
I would move the resolution. The resolution before you is the first step in the acceptance of some $32.9 million for Kenosha County, authorized by the Congress under the American Rescue Act of 2021. The money will be received in 2 installments, can be spent in 4 years, and the specific plan as to what that money will be spent on here in the community will be presented by the county board upon recommendation of the administration. The board will have the opportunity to have its input on that and come to a vote as to what the plan and use of that money will be. And therefore, we ask for your support this evening.
Any discussion? Supervisor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair to whoever can answer this, that $32.89 million, is that total amongst both payments?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any nay? Motion carries.
Resolution 6 from the Finance and Administration Committee, a resolution to request to approve the reappointment of Steve Bostrom to the Kenosha County Housing Authority Board. From Finance and Administration Committee, Rose I, Gantz I, Ron Frederick I, Kubicki I, Wambold I, Uhas I, Franco I.
Supervisor Rose.
I move the appointment of Mr. Bostrom.
Moved by Supervisor Rose, second by Supervisor Kubicki. Supervisor Rose.
Mr. Bostrom has served on this county board. Many of you have served with him and know him in the community as a real estate broker and active in other civic affairs. We've reviewed his reappointment to this and believe that he will make a substantial contribution to the committee and ask for your endorsement this evening.
Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, aye.
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 Motion carried. Thank you.
Resolution 8 from the Human Services Committee, a resolution to appoint Supervisor Sharon Palmaville to the Kenosha County Human Services Board. From Human Services Committee, Belsky I, Berg I, Beth I, Celebrate I, Gully I, Lewis I, Decker excused.
Supervisor Belsky.
I move resolution 8.
Moved by Supervisor Belsky, second by Supervisor Berg. Supervisor Belsky on the res.
I am so pleased to bring this resolution for approval of the appointment of Supervisor Sharon Palmaville to the Human Services Board. She is an outstanding individual and does so much for our county and for the individuals in our county. We reviewed her application at the Human Services meeting. We reviewed and approved, and I wholeheartedly ask for your approval of this appointment.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Carried. Thank you.
Resolution 9 from the Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee, a resolution approving Clement Abangwa to serve as a member of the Local Emergency Planning Committee. From Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee, Boyd Frederick I, Celebrate I, Wambold I, Belsky I, Nordigan I, Palmaville I, Gully I.
Supervisor Frederick.
Move resolution 9.
Then moved by Supervisor Frederick, second by Supervisor Celebrate. Supervisor Frederick.
This is an appointment for Clement Abangwa to move on the Local Emergency Planning Committee. Most everyone here has worked with Clement, so all I can say is he's an outstanding person to work with, and I look forward to working with him on the Local Management Committee.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Carried. Thank you.
Resolution 10 from Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee, a resolution approving Peter Wickland to serve as a member of the Local Emergency Planning Committee. Judiciary and Law Enforcement, Boyd Frederick I, Celebrate I, Wambold I, Belsky I, Nordigan I, Palmaville I, Gully I.
Supervisor Frederick.
Move resolution 10.
Moved by Supervisor Frederick, second by Supervisor Wambold. Supervisor Frederick.
We found Mr. Wickland to be an outstanding individual, and we look forward to him working with the Local Emergency Planning Committee.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any nays? Motion carried.
Resolution 11 from the Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee, a resolution approving Joseph Patente to serve as a member of the Local Emergency Planning Committee. From Judiciary and Law, Boyd Frederick, I. Celebrity, I. Wambold, I. Belsky, I. Nordigan, I. Palmaville, I. Gully, I.
Supervisor Frederick.
Move resolution 11.
Been moved by Supervisor Frederick, second by Supervisor Belsky. Supervisor Frederick. No.
I could say a lot, Joe Potente to serve as a member of the Local Emergency Planning Committee. All of us have worked with Mr. Potente. If you don't know him, I'm be absolutely shocked. So I look forward to working with him on this committee. So thank you.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye? Aye. Any nays? Thank you. Carried.
Resolution 12 from the Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee, a resolution approving the Civil Disturbance Unit Memorandum of Understanding and Intergovernmental Agreement with other agencies. From Judiciary and Law Enforcement, Boyd Frederick, I. Celebrity, I. Wambold, I. Belsky, I. Nordigan, I. Palmaville, I. Gully, I.
Supervisor Frederick.
Move resolution 12.
Moved by Supervisor Frederick, second by Supervisor Palmaville. Supervisor Frederick.
This formally puts together a civil services unit. There was one actually never put together in writing for this county before. Now this lays it out with all the different units throughout this county, what responsibilities, that is roles and responsibility, lays it out with everyone, with the different units all the way out through the Sheriff's Department, all the way out to Twin Lakes. So now everything is laid out in writing and everyone knows what they're doing. And this is, so.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Supervisor Rose.
Would Mr. Frederick describe to the board the details of wages, benefits, insurance, and authority in the memorandum of understanding, and how, if any, it is different than what we currently do?
It just lays out everybody's wages and everything stay the same. No fiscal responsibilities change when it comes to us. But when it comes to something that happened like last summer, it lays out how things can occur and how people will be working together.
So if someone works overtime, what is the impact here? Does this change anything
It doesn't change anything
for Kenosha County?
for Kenosha County.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair to Supervisor Frederick, do we plan on, so this is just Kenosha County, do we plan on doing this with neighboring counties?
No,
And this would hold these agencies, should something happen and they request help from other agencies, this would hold those agencies to the standard of help?
I'm having a little trouble hearing you.
Would this hold, so say Kenosha Sheriff's Department needs assistance, does this hold the agencies that are taking part in this to an understanding that they will respond and they will provide?
Yeah, there's also the mutual aid.
Okay.
Also, that's already in place already. Whether you see an accident, like the shooting up at Summers House, mutual aid kicks in as well. Like their city came to help us. There's already that in place as well.
And this includes every agency in Kenosha County, is that correct?
Yes,
Including Parkside?
I believe so.
Okay, nothing further. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Carried. Thank you.
Resolution 13 from the Planning Development and Extension Education Committee, a resolution regarding Daniel J. and Karen U. Hebling requests an amendment to the adopted land use plan map for Kenosha County 2035, map 54 of the comprehensive plan from industrial to industrial and commercial town of Paris. From Planning Development Extension Education, Gashke, I. Mauer, I. Beth, I. Nudo, I. Rodriguez, I.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move resolution 13.
Moved by Supervisor Gashke, second by Supervisor Noodle. Supervisor Gashke.
Okay, so resolution 13 is what we're doing here is voting on the comprehensive plan. And the state of Wisconsin requires a resolution both from our committee and an ordinance from the full county board to make an amendment to this comp plan. And just simply put, this is the final piece of the puzzle. In addition to ordinances 1 and 2, which we discussed earlier, same property, adding the commercial aspect to be able to accommodate the event center. The town of Paris approves, our committee approved. We ask for your support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carried. Thank you.
Resolution 14 from the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee, a resolution regarding the reappointment of David N. DeVito to the Kenosha County Zoning Board of Adjustments. From Planning, Development, and Extension Education, Gashke, aye. Mauer, aye. Beth, aye. Rodriguez, aye. Nudo, nay.
Supervisor Gashke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move resolution 14.
Moved by Supervisor Gashke, second by Supervisor Rodriguez. Supervisor Gashke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This would be the reappointment of Mr. DeVito to continue serving in the role that he has served very well in. His attendance has been excellent, 20 out of the last 22 meetings of this past term. He'd continue to serve without pay. He would be succeeding himself. And we ask for your support tonight for Mr. DeVito.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye. Any nays? Motion carried. Thank you.
Resolution 15 from the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee, a resolution regarding the reappointment of Lieutenant Horace Staples to the Kenosha County Land Information Council. From Planning, Development, and Extension Education, Gashke, aye. Mauer, aye. Beth, aye. Rodriguez, aye. Nudo, nay.
Supervisor Gashke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move resolution 15.
Moved by Supervisor Gashke, second by Supervisor Mauer. Supervisor Gashke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This also would be a reappointment of Lieutenant Staples, who has also served very well in this role. He would continue to serve without pay, and he would be succeeding himself. His attendance as well has been excellent, 7 out of the last 8 meetings of this past term. And given his public safety and law enforcement background, he provides an excellent perspective on this council.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carried. Thank you.
Resolution 16 from the Public Works and Facilities Committee, a resolution to appoint Aziz Al-Sagar to serve on the Kenosha County Traffic Safety Commission. From Public Works and Facilities Committee, Grady, aye. Franco, aye. Belsky, aye. Palmaville, aye. Rodriguez, aye. Nudo, nay. Berg, excused.
Supervisor Grady. Moved by Supervisor Grady, second by Supervisor Franco. Supervisor Grady. Can't hear you. Okay.
How's that? Is that better?
Yes. That's better.
We had the candidate here in this very room and good credentials, good relationship and history of public service. So we ask for your recommendation this evening.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye. Any nays? Motion carried. Thank you.
Communications 2, communications from Andy M. Bueller regarding future items scheduled before the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee.
Receive and file, please.
Claims 1, Anya Hughes, behalf of Jordan Paris, personal injury and death.
Refer to Corporation Council.
Claim 2, Gordon Maru, vehicle damage.
Refer to Corporation Council.
Approval of the April 20th, 2021 annual and organizational county board minutes by Supervisor Beth.
Supervisor Beth. Moved and seconded. Supervisor Gashke, second.
Chance.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Any nays? Good night.